It's BrickLink time again, folks. Series 8 is here. You've got until the 16th of May to vote for your favourites, and in this video, I'm going to be going through my picks of the best vehicles, boats, planes, trains, and sharing my thoughts on each of them. There's not going to be a particular order. I will stick timestamps in the description below, but I thought we'd start with a nice small one here. And by the way, I'm covering all the other genres and themes as well throughout this week. So if you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and pop your notifications on. But getting into it now, I really like this little horse-drawn tram. Only 630 odd pieces, and it really is a very sweet looking thing. For a start, I love the idea of this being drawn by the couple of horses. Great excuse to get them, and it adds so much character. But the little tram itself, I love the shaping, and I think the colours really suit it. The stairs at the back are brilliant, just a wonderful curve that's been captured there. Also, the choice of minifigs is pretty strong as well. So, I often feel that the really small little sets often get overlooked. Hardly anybody ever talks about them. They don't get much attention. But of course, when we come to our 5 finalists overall, for which I'll do a separate video on my actual winning predictions, but when we do come to those final 5, they have an average piece count of around 2,500. So your top end sets, they're going to be maxing it out at 4,000 pieces. Naturally, you need little ones to offset it. And I think that they deserve to be given a shout out as well. And this is an absolutely awesome one. Now, you can actually motorize this, and it will run on these tracks. If I'm honest, something of this size isn't something that I would look to motorize just because of the cost implications, really, more than anything. But it's good that it's got the space for the option to be there. Of course, it's never going to come with a motor. Bear that in mind throughout everything that we go through in this video. If it says it can be motorized, great, but it's not going to come with a motor. Just keep that in mind. But what a splendid little idea to kick things off with. I think the design has been expertly done. The whole thing is charming. And in my opinion, a really strong contender to kick things off with. Now, another little small one is the small Swiss shunting locomotive. This based off of the shunting tractor that was introduced around 80 years ago. Again, you could run this on track. However, as it comes, proposed, it's in this little diorama form. I think that actually suits it pretty well and would probably be certainly more welcomed by train enthusiasts than that previous one, although I must admit that I prefer my first choice because it just has a little bit more character in my eyes. Not to detract from this, though, it's another awesome little build, less than 600 pieces. Now, if you like it, make sure to head on over and vote. That goes for all of them that I'm featuring in this video, and I will put the link in the description below so you can head straight on over to BrickLink and vote for your favourites. And make sure to drop a comment down below as well. I'd love to know what you like and, of course, what it is that you are going to be voting for. Moving on now, though, we come to the retro bus shelter, and I feel that I should caveat this a little bit because, of course, it's not just a vehicle. And for the most part, I am going to be keeping buildings out of this video. So a lot of the fantastic train stations, boat workshops, etc. that have been included technically by BrickLink in this category, I'm not including in this video because I'm going to put them in a separate one of their own. This is mostly supposed to be just about the vehicles, but I think that this one can get away with being included, mainly because it has this really cool retro looking bus that our fan designer has given us. I just love the slope of this and also the colors that have been used. It would be a really nice one to add into a city build setup. And to be fair, the bus shelter that goes with it, that's looking pretty good as well. Now, overall, this is just about 1,100 pieces. And I think this is really impressive for that sort of size. It's managed to capture a good amount of scale whilst not compromising on the detailing. There's plenty of fun little features that are included in here too to make it look good. So when you combine that with a cool looking bus, I think this is a splendid little build and one that would definitely be very complimentary in a lot of city setups. Slightly smaller again though is my next pick with a very different version of travel in the hot air balloon. Now, I don't mind admitting I'm not normally one for an explosion of lots of different colours, but in this particular instance I think that it has been done very nicely indeed. Great to get a fully brick-built balloon full stop, but when you put it in the lovely rainbow colours that we have here, it is very fun and vibrant. And I also think it's a good move giving it a stand of these big fluffy clouds. Otherwise, the build would just be rather small at the bottom, so this is really going to help it with stability, as well as just looking pretty good. As for the basket itself, it's pretty simple, but fairly good looking. Fun little inclusion of a minifigure and a dog as well. I am not so keen on the brick-built seagulls, though, to be fair. I don't feel that they fit in size-wise. Just not quite as complimentary, but that's only a little niggle. Otherwise, I think it's a very charming set, and for sub 900 pieces, Another one that should definitely be commended for just being joyful and vibrant, as well as having some nice building techniques used in a very compact design. Time that we look at one of the bigger contenders now, though, with this Continental Express. And this is a pretty unique looking train. I really like the design of it, and the color palette, quite neutral, but also with enough contrast on it as well. It's a pretty good looking thing. It's also fairly sizable too, although capable of running on curved R40 track, and it can be motorized again this time with 2 power hubs. Bear in mind, it's not going to come with those, as I've already said, so if you wanted to do that, it would be additional cost. But hey, focusing just in on the design itself as we see it here, I think this is a pretty fantastic looking model. I also love the interior detailing. Being able to have the domed ceiling of the car hinge open like this instead of having to just completely remove it in order to gain access, I think is a really nice idea, and I really appreciate that we've got a decent amount of space for the minifigures in here as well, bearing in mind that there's multiple levels to this, as you can see the stairs going down there, and that's what makes this build all the more impressive. You can just delve deeper and deeper into it, and there is just so much space. This is something that I feel a lot of train builds, whether they are fan designs or one that LEGO themselves give us, they tend to be just too squashed and condensed, and there's not enough detailing on the inside. But with this, you can really sort of start to explore and have a story being told by actually positioning your minifigs more meaningfully rather than just sort of cramming them in somewhere. I know that perhaps that's not important to everybody, because a lot of people become focused in on just the actual design of the train itself, particularly on the exteriors. But it's always a bonus to have. And hey, as far as the exterior goes, I really like the look of this. I mean, let me know what you think in the comments down below. But I think it's pretty impressive. Comes in at just over 3,000 pieces. Whilst my favourite trains are steam ones, I don't mind saying that I think this looks really good and is definitely one of the best propositions that I've seen, be it on LEGO Ideas or BrickLink, in quite a long time. So hats off to the designer. I think this is an absolutely great one. Moving on though, at roughly half the piece count, 1,680 odd pieces, is this, the Railway Retreat. And I ummed and ahed over whether or not I should include it in this video, because of course, whilst it's based around a railway carriage, it's not going anywhere. It's stationary, but I think it can be excused just given the nature of what it is. I think I can get away with including it in the video, and it's a really nice touch. You know, there are more and more things like this now. Certainly where I am in the UK, where you can go away and stay in train carriages or buses and things like that. And actually, not far from where I live, there's a couple of great restaurants that are now made out of train cars. So the core concept is a really good one, and the way that it's been translated into Lego bricks here, I think it's been done very well. You know, all of the side build stuff obviously isn't part of the vehicle, so I don't want to focus on it too much, but it has been put together nicely and really does help add to the scene. So this is a pretty non-polarizing sort of build. I think it would fit in with a lot of different setups, or just as a fun little standalone display piece. And size-wise seems about right too. Puts itself in a pretty good category. And I definitely feel it does deserve a few votes. Do you agree or disagree? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, it probably comes as no surprise that my next pick is the Canal Houseboat. This is one that we saw first proposed, I'm pretty sure it was in the last series, Series 7. I should remember, seeing as how I covered it, but I've got a brain like a sieve, so who knows? But I think it was Series 7. And it's so colourful and vibrant. And I just think a fantastic model all round. You know, back then, I was pretty sure that this was going to be in strong contention as an actual finalist. Now, it didn't make it through. There were some great sets chosen for Series 7. There were also a couple which I was definitely more dubious about, let's just say that. So you never know, this may well still find its time to shine. It's by the same fan designer who was successful with the Mushroom House and Village, and that same sort of colourful joy really comes through in this build, whilst still being very different and independent in its own right. So even if you weren't a fan of those, I think that there is plenty that you can find to enjoy here. Now, piece count wise on this one, just over 1,000. Again, I find that quite impressive. This is a reasonably sized build. You can see in scale with the minifigs. It's a decent size, and yet it's just got so much character to it. Lots of details, both on the exterior and the interior. That is very clever design work when you're working with this number of pieces. My next pick is bigger, the Trolley Crossing, coming in at just under 1,700 pieces. And here we don't just get one vehicle, we get a couple of them. Being a pretty decent looking tram with a nice amount of surrounding supportive build elements too. Now, I think the added elements of the bench, the trees and the newspaper stand, they are helping very much with the story. But it was the tram that captured my attention. I thought it was cool. And then you have the little vintage motor car to go along with it. Now, on the slight downside, as much as I do like the tree and the flowers and things, all of those little pieces are definitely going to be bumping up that piece count, which is a shame because when we strip it back to the tram itself and the little vintage car, that number's going to drop down quite a bit. And I do feel this is pushing it size-wise a little bit too much. That would be my only drawback on this. I still really like it though. It's a bit different from other things that have been proposed. Sometimes you got to take a risk for things to pay off, and for the most part, I think that this does it well. Moving on now, a quick mention for the Cherryliner Express train. I say quick because this is one that, again, we've seen proposed previously, a bit like that canal boat. So I don't want to give too much time to ones that we've had on before, but nonetheless, this has had additions to it, and it's a pretty good looking train, at least I think so. The color combination that's going on here, I think it works so well going against the greys, really helps make it pop and stand out from a lot of the other trains that we've had previously. You've also got some really nice cars that have been added to this too. The detailing is pretty much spot on throughout. Again, it's not going to surprise people that this is 3,100 odd pieces. You can just tell that it's a sizable set, but it's putting those to really good use. And again, we have a nice interior on this one. The tops can easily be removed. I do think I prefer the hinging design, actually, of that previous one we looked at. I found that really compelling. But, the way that this has been done is good too, and it's fairly easy to just take it on and off and therefore gain access. On the one hand, this is why I really like the BrickLink Designer program and also LEGO Ideas, because one way or another, it gives fan designers the opportunity to bring forward incredible builds like this. But on the downside, so few of them actually get through. It highlights the sort of thing that we are missing out on. It's definitely a treat to look at. Whether or not it's something that will ever see the light of day, I don't know. There are some other really good ones in this round as well. And that's kind of my biggest disappointment. They can't all win out. My next pick then is the Brick Railroad and the diesel electric locomotive. Now, this is one that our fan designer has clearly put a lot of work and attention to detail into. It does look great, and I feel the designer makes a good point over going with a model based more on the 1970s rather than the 50s, therefore making the color combination make sense, and also allowing this to be brick built more rather than relying on stickers. And that is always a bonus to my mind, because I hate stickers. As any of you who will have listened to my stuff before, you will know that I am not a fan. But either way, I think that the color combinations chosen here, splendid job. That looks really good. The choice of pieces in order to capture the shaping, that's to be commended too. It's also designed with motorization in mind, multiple different options that you can have a look through there on the screen. And that's good, because this definitely is a model that I always think needs to be motorized in order to get full enjoyment out of it. The other thing that I really like and want to commend is that although this looks great in renders, it's something that our fan designer has actually built physically with the bricks in hand, got it running on the track to make sure that it works properly. And I love it when fan designers do this. Okay, I don't want to take it away from anyone who does it all through computer generation. There's still a lot of technique there, but nothing beats, in my mind, actually having the bricks in your hands and seeing that something works and playing with it and just getting a feel for what it looks like actually in person. So fantastic to see that here. Great as that is, though, I've got to say, I think that personally, I prefer this, the freight train. Although it's completely fictionalized, I just love the way that it looks, and including a tractor on it, you just immediately won my vote with that. That looks so good. It's also a nice change of pace to have a train that isn't purely relating to passengers. Having the freight cars on there are a bold choice, but I think it really suits it. It just really seems to ooze charm and character. And having the talent to build one like this with just under 2,600 pieces, just from your imagination, I think that is exceptional talent. Because this has got so much fun to it. It's not taking itself too seriously in that regard, but it's really sizable, very substantial, actually. Another one of those sets where I sort of did a double take when I saw the piece count, because I was looking at this and thinking, this has got to be close to 3,500 pieces. But no, the way it's been done is brilliantly built. And if you like it, make sure to go over and vote for it. If you don't, tell me why not in the comments down below. And either way, while you're there, drop a like on the video if you haven't done so already. We'll take a break from trains for a minute, though, to come on to this, the Flame Tourer, and a really cool looking truck for our rock band to be going around in. I mean, I like some of the brick-built lorries that Lego has given us, but boy, this is taking it to a new level completely. This is so robust in its design. What a beast, and it just looks so cool. I love the flames that are going along this. I would like it if they'd just come a little bit further along, or alternatively, because to be fair, they are also on the back if we come to this picture here, maybe if they could have just lapped up round the sides. I know that's hard because obviously this is brick built rather than stickers. Big thumbs up again, love that. But maybe just a few more, because I'm being greedy. And I really like the design of it. It's just slightly too much black at the back there, but that's a very small little gripe to be making, because by and large, I think this looks awesome. You've also naturally got a good amount of space on the inside, which all adds to the storytelling as well. But really, for me, it's just all about the exterior of this. What an incredible addition to a city setup this would make for. And also well thought out in way of design, so ease of access there. And that just goes to show you, it's not only good looking on the outside, nice use of colours and interior features too. So I'm not one who usually goes for trucks. I'm much more of a train guy, but I think this looks awesome. And if you don't think so, then respectfully, you're trucking mad. We're on to my final three for the vehicles now, though, and this is the Modern City Tram, a really small and sweet looking build. Okay, less than 1,000 pieces, and yet it packs a really big punch. I mean, look, I'm not against the trams that Lego themselves give us. In fact, the most recent one was definitely an improvement on their previous iterations, but I can't say that it was great. This, on the other hand, I mean, I know that I shouldn't really be focusing on the side build because this video is about the vehicles, but it really does add to the scene as a whole and is going to help integrate this into a city setup very nicely. And the tram itself is really sweet in the way it's been done. Plenty of room on the inside considering how condensed this is. I think it looks good. I love the choice of colours. You know, ultimately, if you are lucky enough to have a bit of a city setup going on, or maybe you're aiming to do that, this is going to be so complementary to it. And keeping this under the 1,000-piece mark, I think makes it extremely strong. It'll be interesting to find out how many votes it gets overall, because I think it could do really well being turned into a set. Now, my final choice is not a train, but before we get to that, we must stop here with my penultimate pick and the Winter Holiday Express. This is one that is cartoonish, it doesn't take itself seriously at all, it's not as detailed as pretty much any of the other trains that I've featured in this video, and yet it looks brilliant. I just love the joy that's gone into this. Of course, all of the festive colours are what really make this work. The idea of getting this out come Christmas time, having it go around underneath the tree on some track, I think it would look absolutely splendid. But here we are, my final pick of this video, and how could it be anything other than the fish and chips truck? I adored the popcorn wagon that got picked by this designer. Sadly, the corn dog truck, that got cancelled off in the last series, but this is splendid. A perfect culmination of colour and storytelling, all packed into one set, and all at just 620 pieces. It has got to be one of the absolute strongest builds with technically so little going into it. Love the Pelican, think that's awesome. You know, my biggest drawback about this is that every time that I see it, if it got made, you know, I have to say if, but I think it is absolutely good enough to be crowdfunded. And if it was, I tell you now, I'll be trying to get hold of it. But my biggest problem is that if I then had it built on the side, I'd just get hungry every time that I look at it. Really is evocative of fish and chips down by the seaside. You know, one of the biggest compliments that I can give is how a set of any size can seem like it's almost a picture that's been taken of a living, breathing world. Something that is just jam-packed full of character. But this is absolutely that, and managing to do it with so few pieces elevates it to a whole new level, in my opinion. Now, maybe that's just me. If you don't like it, let me know why in the comments, although I'd say that you might be being a bit of an anchor about it, as I'm sure that many people will love this. I know that it is definitely one of my standout favourites. But there you go, that's it for this video. Don't forget I am covering all of the different genres, so please subscribe. New videos coming every day this week. Like, comment, share, all that business, and thank you very much for now. I will look forward to seeing you on the next one.